I think the point you mentioned about patterns, because I've been thinking about this a lot in terms of in your life, you sometimes see patterns emerging. And it's funny, I'm from a sort of sporting background, and there you're very much trying to recognize patterns to almost predict what is going to happen. And I think in life, if you can look in the past and see the things that have worked for you, recognize those patterns, maybe recognize when you meet somebody, they like you, they like you in a maybe work wise, or they want to help you, then if you recognize that, then it's almost like a trigger to try and work a bit harder to form a relationship.
Exactly. And also the reverse then, were there moments where you felt, oh, I didn't, like in the coffee shop example,
Yeah.
oh, I should have acted on this. So those moments as well, right? Where we feel, what were the moments where we didn't do what we could have done? And so it's really kind of, to your point, exactly those patterns of when did it go well, when didn't it go well? And then that is exactly what we can do a lot with. Yeah.
And it's quite funny you mentioned that, because sometimes when you're trying to build relationships and network, sometimes your mind is saying, well, it's that type of person that I think will help me. But actually, counterintuitively, it could be the guy who's sitting on his own in a a drinks reception, or nobody's really talking to him. It could actually be that's the person, but your mind has created this image. So I think sometimes you've got to just forget past history sometimes and then just go for it. But this idea of reframing, I think that's a strong theme in your book, Christian, where you're just, rather than, I think there's one example where there was a potato washing machine, or a washing machine, and the farmers were washing potatoes. Would you like to sort of give a bit more insight into that? I found that fascinating.
Absolutely. And maybe also to your previous point around, I feel like that is really at the core of living a meaningful life, to not see networking events or whatever events or interactions with people too transactional. Because if we see it as, oh, this person is the CEO of XYZ, so this is what I want from them, A, people feel it anyways, right? So they will not like, but B, also it is very short-sighted, right? Because at the end of the day, the real potentiality comes from A, exactly this, like not knowing what could be out there, but also, people move in the world, right? Like someone who's now the XYZ person at XYZ in 3 years will be somewhere completely different. And that's probably when the big thing will happen. So if we focus on building meaningful relationships versus transactional relationships, that's actually where the real magic happens in the mid run. And so to your point, like I feel that's really important, this idea of really kind of not looking at the direct utility of something, but actually, this idea of potentiality. And that is actually then, funny enough, where a lot of times unexpectedly you get your next client or you get your next thing, because you're not pushing it, you're not pitching it, you're actually letting people come to you a little bit more about it. We can definitely talk more about